Hi everybody, welcome to episode 17 of Satellite 664. I'm one of your two co-hosts, Kaz Tagyan, and as always I'm joined by Mr. Steve Loopy Newhouse. Good evening.
My wife's just made me a rock cake. I'm picking it out of my teeth at the moment.
A rot cake?
Rock cake.
What's a rot cake?
It's made of rocks.
Oh, there's something I didn't know. How are you, mate?
Basically, it's a small sponge cake that has fruit in it. Beautiful. It's called rock cake because the outer crust is meant to go like really rock hard. But
very nice. And what have you been doing since our last foray into the podcast?
I have been busy. I'm making a new airplane. This is an F-15.
That's an F-15 Eagle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's close to the camera.
Beautiful.
There's a bit of a paint job going on, and it's beginning to realise just how tricky it's getting now because this cataract that I've got in my right eye is causing me so much grief that my left eye is doing all the work. I can basically see nothing out of my right eye. It's just fuzzy, and yet my hand there is perfect. But when you try to transfer that to something that's 2 feet away, when you try to work on it or paint it is very hard work. But yeah, I've been doing that. Obviously messing about on my aviation page. And if anybody saw last night's comments, it just became one of the funniest things I've ever been involved in. And considering it's an aviation page, and this was a non-aviation thread, we had more comments for some stupid reason than any other thing we've done. So that was a good laugh.
Yeah, I think people are just missing flying and looking up at the skies at the moment, aren't they? So one would hope that in the not too distant future we'll hopefully be back to where we were pre.
I mean, where I sit out of my window, that's normally the flight path. Like flight path, shall I say, for London Heathrow. So every day you'd see jet after jet after jet. And there's been nothing out there for months. And I'll sit here with my camera going,
yeah. I'm having withdrawals as well. I mean, I'm on the flight path from Sydney to Melbourne. And, you know, every 10, 15 minutes there's a Qantas or a Virgin jet that goes past and there's nothing. There's silence. So here's hoping things do get back to normal, but we certainly haven't had really no news about Iron Maiden at all. I mean, there really isn't anything to discuss about the band other than what we didn't mention, which everybody knows, is the Legacy of the Beast tour, or 15 shows of the Legacy of the Beast tour have been rescheduled for June and July next year, and it's really interesting that they selected those particular 15 cities to go back to or to do next year, and it does leave speculation as to what they will do after that. So who knows? Yeah. No one knows. Nobody knows.
There's no point speculating.
No, nobody knows.
I spoke to Steve recently, and he said, I said to him, okay, so what's happening in the Maiden world? And he said, to be perfectly honest, he said, not a great deal. You know, the dates have been rescheduled, but everything else is still on hold. Even those dates are iffy.
Yeah, they are, because right now, you and I would have been meeting up to go to Bologna, Italy, to see the band, but that didn't happen because I'm still in Melbourne and you're still in the UK. But anyway, let's just crack on with today's show. We're going to talk all about rhythm sections today, all about the driving force behind Iron Maiden. In fact, we're going to talk about skins, aren't we? Really?
Foreskins. We're talking about foreskins.
Foreskins.
Well, in this particular case, it's a bass drum, a snare drum, a rack tom, and a floor tom. Foreskins.
So that sounds like stuff I used to read in my anatomy textbooks at university. No, we're not talking about anatomy, foreskins. We are actually talking about drumming. So today's show for all the drumming aficionados. We're actually going to talk to a gentleman who's a highly accomplished drummer and one that's known to everybody. A wonderful guy, Mr. Joe Lazarus, and he's going to talk all about drumming, Iron Maiden, rhythm section. This was a fascinating conversation. I really loved it. So here we go.
Here we go.
Mr. Joe Lazarus.
Welcome, Joe.
Everybody, we have the pleasure of being joined by Mr. Joe Lazarus today. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving up your Sunday afternoon. Now, Joe, I'm going to start off by getting you to tell us a bit about yourself. For those who do know, you're a very accomplished drummer. And for those that are new to Joe Lazarus, you've got the floor, mate. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, basically, I started playing drums at the age of 4. Drumming has just been my entire life. Like, it's just consumed me completely. I've never wanted to do anything else, and it took me a while, but I managed to make it a full-time thing for myself about 5 years ago. So, I'm very lucky and grateful to have managed to make a living out of it. And just music's everything to me. I live and breathe it every day. I never go a day without listening to music, so it's so important to me. It's just everyone who knows me say that, it's everything to me. So
excellent. I mean, so what kit do you play for the people who don't know?
Yeah, I'm endorsed by which is run by Keith Keogh, who was the old Premier drum maker. And when he left Premier, started his own drum company, I then, about a year or two afterwards, joined him at British Drum Company. And I play a Legend Series kit, which is a maple shell, so 24-inch kick drum, 13-inch rack tom, 16-inch floor tom, and a 14 by 6 or 6.5 Merlin snare. And they're incredible drums.
I have noticed on some of the YouTube videos that you do tend to every now and again sort of have a slightly bigger kit. So, you'll have 2 rack toms and 2 floors. Yeah,
so that actually.
What do you prefer?
Well, when I do like Maiden covers, when you have a few more toms, it's obviously a lot easier because there's so many tom fills in Maiden songs. But my preferred setup is just a simple 1 up, 1 down, kind of sometimes an extra floor tom like Bonham style. That's my kind of preferred thing because it's just I keep things pretty simple. I'm just groove rock drummer, really. That's my kind of vibe. So I don't tend to go off on crazy feels so much, on that kind of setup. So
yeah, Nicko is obviously a hero.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you said that many a time, but who else has influenced you? Who are your other favourite drummers?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's just so many. I mean, obviously John Bonham is a huge...
One of them, I was going to say, because your kit setup is a...
Yeah, and Zeppelin, when I was growing up, obviously, it was nothing but Maiden. That's all I'd ever listen to. But then Steve was like, look, you've got to listen to other stuff, and showed me stuff that influenced him. So, showed me Zeppelin and Thin Lizzy and UFO and stuff like that, Sabbath. All that kind of stuff. Bill Ward, love Bill Ward, John Bonham. I love Mitch Mitchell from Jimi Hendrix. He's an incredible drummer. Obviously Keith Moon. All those kind of classic drummers from the 70s, Cozy Powell, big rock drummers.
Yeah, totally understand that. Right, Kaz.
Joe, we were talking off air just before we started recording, and I reckon you actually in the history books, you're probably the youngest person to have ever attended an Iron Maiden gig. Now, I thought this was the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. Do you want to tell us how old you were and what your first Maiden gig was?
So yeah, I was 6 months old, and it was Donington Monsters of Rock '88. Yeah, I'd love to have remembered the show, but you know, you don't really get memories that young. So
That's brilliant. That is
so,
absolutely brilliant.
Did
Yeah.
you have to wear sort of ear defenders?
I don't know. I'd have to ask my mum. I'm not sure. I can't. I didn't ask about that. I have no idea. But
I would have thought so.
I would have thought so. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it would have been pretty loud, I guess.
I know Stevie would have had a West Ham scarf wrapped around your head.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the little picture of your stage pass from the Fear of the Dark tour, and
Yeah.
as a 4-year-old, which I thought was brilliant.
I've got one from before that as well. Yeah, on the No Prayer tour when I'm like 2 or 3. I've got that one as well. I think that's the youngest one I've got. That's another photo of me, like when I'm like 2 or 3.
Which gig was it on the No Prayer tour?
Well, that would have been a tour pass. So I think I went to a few because my mum would go to quite a lot. So we just all go together, you know. So I guess it would have been on the UK. Probably the Wembley Arena shows, and like maybe Birmingham or something. What we usually would do when I was growing up, we'd always go to a few of the UK shows.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, totally cool. Right, so let's move on to your band list. World on Fire, are they still going?
Not really, no. I mean, we say we're on a hiatus, but we've been on a hiatus for about 10 years or something silly. So it's, yeah, I mean, like, we're all doing our own different things now. I mean, Dave, the singer, we all kind of have musical projects, but we're kind of like, they kind of do their own thing. Like Harris, the guitar player, is a press agent now in the industry. Bill does his own, the other guitar player. He just released his own album, actually, what I play drums on. It's kind of like folky acoustic stuff. And Dave works for the Underground now. I think he works for, he puts in PA systems in Liverpool Street.
Yeah, brilliant.
So yeah, but that I mean, I joined that band when I was 15. I was still in school, and they were all a bit older than me. They were all about 19, 20 maybe.
Was that your first band then?
That was my first proper band. I mean, when you're in school bands and stuff, you only get together at lunchtimes and then play talent shows at school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
First proper band, which we actually went out and did stuff and actually made and recorded albums. That was the first band for me, yeah.
Okay. Moving on, obviously, Voodoo 6. Are you still involved with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a new album coming out, actually. I think it's coming out in September. It was supposed to come out in March, but obviously all this happened and everything was kind of just like on hold. So
what do you do?
Yeah.
And obviously, you're still attached slightly to Iron Maiden.
Yeah. I mean, I just love. I mean, I love playing Maiden songs, so I do it for just. It's such great fun, and the guys are really a good laugh as well. And it's usually we don't play too often, but it's like we'll go away for a weekend and do 2 or 3 shows, and it's a good laugh, and I really enjoy it. So
I've caught them down I don't think you were actually playing drums at the time, but I did catch them down at the Cart on Horses.
Oh right, yeah.
Just before it closed, was you there?
Yeah. I think I maybe got up and did a song with them because I kind of left because I was so busy I couldn't commit to shows with them anymore. So got another guy in, and I think I was there though definitely because I think pretty sure I got up and did a song with them.
I remember your mum being here, but I don't remember seeing you.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm fairly sure I was there. I've definitely played at the Cart and Horses, and I don't think I've only been there a couple of times, so it must have been.
Yeah. The other one was In Heaven.
Yeah.
Which split in 2018.
Yeah.
Leaving a message on Facebook saying everything is fine. Can you elaborate on that?
So where the band name comes from is it's the film Eraserhead.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's the woman in the radiator, and it's the song "In Heaven, everything is fine." They sing. That's
Yeah,
where that's from. Yeah.
gotcha. Brilliant. Okay, Kaz, did you add anything before we go to
Yeah,
YouTube?
yeah, Joe. I mean, with the High on Maiden gig, two things I want to know. What is your favourite Maiden song to play, and why? I know it's a tough one. I'll put you on the spot with this one, but possibly an easier question. What is the toughest, most challenging song to play as a drummer, that you know of? Because I know you pretty much know the Maiden catalog, inside out. Which is the most challenging one that even now you need to really concentrate on and sort of focus on?
It's tougher. I mean, like, you know what? It's such a weird thing with. I mean, all Maiden songs are tough to play. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they are intense and like, but because it's like just ingrained in my brain from such a young age, it's the only time where I can just play songs and not think about it.
Wow.
Pretty much. Like I last, you know what? I actually tried to challenge myself the last How I Maiden gig, because usually what happens is the set list will be sent out during the week, and then you kind of like brush up during the week, and then go and play it. But I said to the singer, I was like, I don't want to see the set list until we go on. Like, and he was like, we've got some real deep cuts in this, like with songs we've never played, songs Maiden have never played. And I was like, let's do it. So turned up, got the set list 2 minutes before we went on. I was like, oh, run silent, run deep. That's nice. Oh, okay. And yeah, and then we did.
But they even stuff like Alexander, for instance.
Yeah. Wow.
We do all the epics. You know, Tamerland, Seventh Son, Alexander, Run Next Mariner. But we'll just chuck them in because we're all fans. So we just it's all there. For me personally, I literally didn't listen to anything else but Maiden from the age of 4 to 16, and so it literally that's it. It's all up there. So, but they are all very tough songs to play. I mean, I'd have to say probably Sign of the Cross.
Wow.
It's quite time changes, and the middle section, like the rolls and the snares, like an odd timing thing. That's like you kind of have to you can't like go away with fairies during that moment. But my favourite song.
So it is sort of a bit sort of mind taxing then.
Yeah, it's like
So I think thinking forward like this, sort of trying to remember what comes next.
Well, the thing is, with drumming, I don't know what it's like for other drummers, but for me personally, if you start thinking about it, that's when it could go off the rails. It's weird. It's all muscle memory. If you just have faith that you know what's coming next, and you've done it before or whatever, and it's all there, then you kind of just relax and everything's fine. Because you can actually tell. You can tell when someone's playing when they're not quite not quite sure of themselves, not quite sure of the part, where you can really, even if they're playing it correctly, you can definitely hear it, like, and feel it if someone's not quite in that pocket,
Yeah, very interesting you say that, Joe. There's also quite a parallel crossover with guitar players who also say the same thing. Often it's about the muscle memory. It's the way it's ingrained in that part of the brain, which then translates to muscle memory, and it's almost like a very visceral, organic feel. And yeah, especially with somebody like yourself, who from a very, very young age, and at an age where that sort of part of your brain's developing with respect to music, it's so ingrained in you that you almost don't need to think about it when it comes to Iron Maiden. But it's interesting.
Funny enough, I don't remember this at all, but my mum said apparently when I was 2, I used to have a little plastic bass and I used to run around and imitate Steve. I don't remember that at all. And apparently she said she told Steve about it, and he obviously just thought that but I apparently studied Steve so much that I did all the moves and like did all like the foot up on the sofa and did all this. All of that, and then like during the encore, I'd go around behind the sofa and then come back out again, watching videos. His wristband at the wall, chucking out.
Oh, brilliant!
But then she said that it must have been that day when I went to see Maiden in '92 when I saw Nicko, and it was just like, wow, that's what I want to do. That is so fun. And then everything shifted, and I was just like, right, study Nicko now. you know. And but the funny thing is, my mum said that she told Steve about it, and then she took me round there once with the bass and asked me to put the video on and said, "Oh, show Uncle Steve what you do." You know, I was like, I wouldn't do it. I was too nervous. But then she just put the video on and then left me to it, kind of thing. And then I just couldn't help myself. I got up, I ran around his room doing all the moves and everything. And Steve was just like, "What?"
I can imagine. I can imagine as a 4-year-old, Nicko's drum kit must have just been colossal.
I mean, I've sat behind. I played with Maiden in a rehearsal once, and that when I was like 19, and it was gigantic then. So for a 4-year-old,
Yeah. Loopy, did you used to run around the living room and imitate anyone when you were a kid?
Probably, I just can't remember. Yeah, you like that saying about the amount of water under a bridge.
Yeah.
In my case, it was lager. But moving on, we're going to tap into your little foray into YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
First thing I want to mention is going back to like your band list. Have you ever actually played with Circle Waves?
Yeah. So I know the drummer from Circle Waves, Colin, is a really good friend of mine, and same management as Circle Waves, so we toured with them quite a lot, and I got to know the guys really, a lot. And a couple of times I've had to step in for them. Colin was ill time, and then he was having a baby as well, so I filled in again when he was having a kid, and so I filled in for him about four times or something, 4 or 5 times, yeah. Great lads. Really good.
What I was going to say was like one of the videos that I found when you took over from Colin, so you could go crowd surfing on a rubber dinghy. I watched that and I thought, this guy's having a great time, and it was seamless as well. You just walked in and just literally sort of took over, carried on with the snare drum, and then
Do you know what's funny about that? So basically, 2 weeks before Glastonbury, he texted me and was like, "Right, I've got this idea. I'm going to get a dinghy and do this thing." And I was like, "Oh, all right, okay." And he said, "Oh, yeah, so you're going to come on and finish the last song, and I'll do that." And I was like, "All right." And because he's quite an out there guy, I love him to bits. He's wacky, which he's got all these crazy ideas. I didn't hear a single word about it over the next couple of weeks, nothing. And I thought, "Oh, it's not happening." So I get to Glastonbury, I'm putting up my tent. And he texts me or rings me and is like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I've just got in." "Oh, we're on in like 20 minutes. You good for this thing?" And I was like, "Oh, bloody hell, it's happening. All right." Okay. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm okay with security and everything." And I was like, "Oh, gosh." I just ran. Because at Glastonbury, massive. I mean, I was at the John Peel stage and he was on the other stage, which is quite a walk. So I just legged it over there. Managed to get there just as they were going on stage, pretty much. And he was like, "Right, I'll see you out there." I was like, "All right, okay." So I just wandered onto the side of the stage and waited for that last song, and then when he kind of looked over, I just ran on and
what I also found like really amusing is like right at the very end when they're taking all the plaudits, and you just walked off towards the camera, and nothing had happened.
Yeah.
It was just brilliant.
It's like, well, it's not my band. I can't just like go out there and go, "Yeah, give me some." It's a bit awkward now. I just kind of like slightly walk off the stage.
Yeah, it's a very, very funny moment. Okay, so let's go on to the lockdown sessions.
Yeah.
With Richie Faulkner, Rui Jolie, and those guys. How did that all come about?
Well, the Richie one was really weird. So I did a cover of Alexander the Great ages ago, and he decided to put up on his Twitter him playing solo along to my drum cover.
Wow.
And he just tagged me on it on Twitter, and I thought, "Oh, that was cool." And then I just thought, I texted him and I was like, "We should do like a proper like a video together. Let's do a song. Let's do a Maiden song." And he was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Sure, let's." And he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, you should put it out on Twitter, see what people say." And Tame Land came up quite a few times. So I literally put my phone down, went straight down to Steve's studio, played Tame Land, and then sent it to him. And then he just played over it, and then I just kind of together.
Oh, right, so you don't actually sort of play them together. 'Cause I was thinking to myself, can they see each other? But
No, no,
obviously, if he's playing along with you, then
no. We weren't playing along with each other. We were playing to the song. Both of us playing to the song, and because we're, obviously he's a phenomenal guitar player, and
oh, yeah.
and and so he's obviously very tight. And when I put it all together, it just kind of worked. It worked. So just and then we did Phantom of the Opera as well. And so that's how that came about. Really, it was just kind of like a spontaneous thing that all came about, a day or two, And,
was that the same with Ruth Jolly that doing the?
funny enough, Root saw that, like the one I did with Richie, and it messaged me and was like, "Oh, can I get on this? Can I do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, do it. What do you want to do?" And he was like, "Oh, let's do Stranger in Strangeland." It's my favourite song, favourite guitar solo and everything. He's a huge Adrian fan, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I did the same thing. I put my phone down, went straight down to the studio, played Strangeland, and then yeah.
So you also did the War Pigs as well with Mike Venner.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So Mike is a huge other fan, and as am I. And it was the 50th anniversary of Paranoid this year, and he wanted to go and do like Paranoid from start to finish and do a few shows. And he asked me to play, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Great." We went to rehearse, and it sounded amazing. It was like amazing bass player with Ben Griffiths as well.
Yeah.
And who's in a great band called Alpha Male Tea Party. And we got in a room, and it just sounded great, and we were like, this is going to be really fun. And then obviously this was about maybe a week or two before the lockdown.
Oh.
Everything obviously went, and then we just thought, oh, why don't we do War Pigs as a kind of lockdown video just for a laugh, And yeah, that came out really well.
It did come out well. It sounds brilliant.
Yeah, Mike's incredible. He's one of the best guitar players I've ever known. Like he's amazing, and he's great vocalist. Great. He's old band Ocean Size, one of my favourite bands. And this is the weird thing. That's like, I don't know how I've managed to because I play for his solo project as well, and like he's one of my music idols, and I don't know how I've got myself in a position where I'm actually playing with him. Like it's just weird, one of those stars align, like you meet each other. And
yeah.
He asks you an album, and you're like, oh my god, like freaking out.
Cool, very cool.
Brilliant. Yes. Now, Joe, I was very closely following your videos about the Maiden England, but all the way from Moonchild right up to the last song. I mean, it's that was just brilliant. I was sort of quite.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, mate, it was brilliant. Well done. It was just so tight, so accurate, so spot on. But watching that, it actually sort of raised a few questions in my mind that I wanted to discuss with you, because you played a mix of both Clive Burr era songs and, obviously a truckload of Nicko mcBrain era songs. And those two drummers have two vastly different styles. So Clive had more of a jazz swing type sound, which obviously gave the first three albums a particular flavour, whilst Nicko, and I'm going to get you to speak about this, is obviously a very different sound. Is it challenging switching between those two styles, the swing sound to that more technical metal drumming?
Not really. I mean, like I said, bizarrely, it kind of comes natural to me. I'm not quite sure why. I really couldn't explain why, but people have asked me that before, like how you managed to switch between the two, because they are two completely different drummers. But I guess I kind of maybe took bits of both of them, because obviously growing up listening to all of Maiden's back catalogue, so I took a lot of Clive as well, who was an absolutely phenomenal drummer. So I took kind of bits of both of them. So when I do the songs, I kind of, it's like a bit of a hybrid between the two. Because Clive's speed and power was just unrivaled. He's right hand, when you make Rothschild stuff, it's all one hand. It's just incredible. And then obviously, Nicko's like incredible. He's so much finesse and feel, and like all these like little, these amazing backbeats, and and off pushes and stuff. He's that left hand work is so watch and so fun to play as well. Wow. His placement of hit drums and stuff, all that kind of stuff. So they're both, like you say, they're both very different drummers, but both incredible.
John, I know you're not a bass player, but because the drummer and the bass player, you know, basically the rhythm section lock in so tightly together and sort of, you know, lay the foundation for the rest of the band. Do you think? How do you think Steve Harris's playing was impacted or changed by sort of locking in with Clive as opposed to locking with Nicko?
Well,
or do you think there was a change at all, or whether he just maintained his own style?
I mean, I think Steve's style is so unique that, you know, I think it was always going to be that the whole way through. But I mean, he was just obviously lucky to have two guys like complementing him so well, because he's such a different bass. He's the kind of bass player he is. He needs a real tight drummer, but someone that swings as well, because he swings. He's not a metal bass player at all. He's like, you know, he's got lots of skill and his runs and stuff. He's kind of like Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, all his runs and stuff, and the octave plays is very much like that. But I guess I think Steve's playing's kind of been his playing the whole way through, but I'm not sure how it, you know, if it has changed. But I think both drummers complement, like I said, very, very well. And there's a lot more. I think even though Clive was a really quick, fast drummer, there was a lot of space in his playing. That kind of left gaps for Steve to kind of then flourish. You know, especially in those earlier albums when there was, you know, quite aggressive playing. But when you hear like, I think there's a thing on YouTube where you can hear the bass and drums like soloed and stuff on certain shows or albums, like with Nicko, and it's amazing when we hear them playing together. It's so like they know exactly what they want from each other, and they do it there. It's incredible. They're one of the best. For me, they're one of the best rhythm sections on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to be a bit self-indulgent here. Actually, I wanted to ask you about my favourite song in the entire 40-year catalogue, and that is 22 Acacia Avenue. So the original that Clive plays on has very much a shuffle to it, whereas when Nicko's played on it from sort of 1983 onwards, I sort of hear more fills and things like that. Having played that song and knowing that song sort of intricately well, could you sort of go in a bit more into detail about that?
Well, I mean, like you said, there is that kind of shuffle element there. But I mean, I love what they both of them did with that song. This is the thing about Maiden, like the songs, what Clive and Nicko did for both of them, like they both work, but they're both very different. It's very rare that you're going to get that happen again. You know, someone come in and had their own thing on it, but they both work incredibly well. They both, you know, both sets, like, wow, that both of them work. But yeah, Nicko has the tendency to he's like Bonham. He puts in fills where you'd never dream of.
Exactly. Yeah.
He'll go,
well, Keith Moon was a classic example of that.
What's that, sorry?
Keith Moon was a classic example of that.
Keith Moon as well, yeah. I mean, the whole tracks where you're like, hang on, put a fill in there, get a laugh. He pulls it off, you know, and obviously Nicko is a big Keith Moon fan as well, so I think he just encapsulates like that whole 70s rock drumming with a kind of added some like finesse to it, and obviously his right foot is ridiculous. You know, people still now go, sure, you haven't played Gold Pedal.
No, and barefoot.
And barefooted, yeah. I mean, because I wanted to be like him, I tried I can't do that. I tried it. I'm playing barefoot. It's really uncomfortable. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing, really.
Well, plus the fact, I mean, like the pedal itself is certain pedals. There's it's the way they're structured.
Yeah.
That can't be comfortable on the foot.
No, it's metal, and it's got like
ridges and
permanently like imprinted on the back of his on his sole of his foot, because it's like,
So maybe that's it. It's, like his footers now sort of become ridged as well, so they just sort of slot into place.
Yeah. Hung and groove, like.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Right, Joe, just before we go on, just being a student of sort of Nicko's playing over the years, how have you seen an evolution in his style from obviously the classic era of 1983 to 1993, as opposed to now, where generally speaking the songs are so much more intricate, progressive, longer? Have you seen? Has there been any difference, or has he maintained a sort of baseline?
I think he definitely maintained his style, but he what I find interesting is that he'll have like a new favourite feel that he'll play in the same place every night in certain songs, and it's like he hasn't always done that. Like in say like Fear of the Dark and Hallowed, there's certain feels that he'll do live that he only started doing in like 2001 or 2002, and then but he also stays true to what the record as well. Like he'll still play pretty much exactly what you played in the 80s, but like I said, he does flourish. He does he does just pull things out of the bag, but he does have his go-to fills, and they're all like brilliant. But they're so funny. The thing about Nicko's playing is that it's so fun to play. Like if anyone sees me playing Maiden songs, I'm just having the time of my life, because they're just so fun to play. I can't quite explain it. Like he can sit on a groove, which is fun as well, and then you can play all these like crazy fills that he does on all these toms and stuff, and it's just the best thing ever. I love it.
Brilliant. Libby?
I noticed that you recently did the YouTube track Seventh Son.
Yeah.
And you kept tweaking the playback volume, kept it turn it up.
Yeah.
Do you do that live? Or do you get your monitor engineer to go, turn it up?
But no, I'm actually I'm not a fussy monitor guy really, but the only reason why I did that is because I have my in-ears in, and I need to be able to hear a bit of what I'm playing and what's going on, but because of that song where it dips in volume, I need to have that perfect balance of being like, right, I know I'm playing in time, but I also need to hear what's going on. So you need to kind of, sometimes it takes a few tweaks, and I only did, that's the thing about that song is, well, the whole thing, I only did one take of every song on the Maiden England playthrough, because I wanted it to be as true to a live stream as possible, so do it that way.
How long sort of gap did you take in between each?
Oh, literally, right, Moonchild's done, right, next one, boom, here we go, live gig. I did it exactly. I did breaks just straight through.
I'll tell you what, I actually wrote this down. I'll actually read what it says. It's been fun watching you smash your way through Maiden England. Sitting and watching you on a big screen was almost like being at your side, like you used to do with Clive. I was your off-screen roadie for just over an hour, constantly watching for the slightest thing to go wrong. The only thing I didn't have was a bottle of water and a spare towel.
And with both of those, to be fair.
It was strange. But I actually found myself sitting there watching to see if anything went wrong. It's almost like I could sort of reach out and sort out his symbol for him because it was coming loose. Yeah, it was bizarre, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
It was good to relive an experience.
Joe, look, you're obviously a young gentleman, but how physically taxing is it after an Iron Maiden gig? I mean, let's just say that you played that entire Maiden England 1988 set. After it, how physically taxing is it?
It's weird with playing Maiden songs, because I don't know what it is. It's weird. I don't ever really get tired from playing Maiden songs, because it's not. The way I play is like I try and play just like Nicko as much as I can, but it doesn't really take that much out of me that you'd expect. I mean, I'm sweating, and I sweat a lot anyway. I'm like Lee Evans. Remember Lee Evans who just sweats all the time? So, but I'm not like actually ever really tired. You know, I could go. I mean, I played Iron Maiden shows for like 3.5 hours or whatever straight.
Wow.
Because remember we went to Turkey and they wouldn't let us off the stage because they just wanted us to play more and more. and we did like 4 encores of like 3 or 4 songs. I remember we did Rhyme the Action Mariner in an encore. We just did it, and my hands were actually bleeding because I'd been playing for 3.5 hours like Maiden, which is, you know. But the thing is, I wasn't tired. I mean, I guess I was exhausted really, but I could have gone on for longer. But it's weird. I mean, I get actually more tired playing other songs because, like, you know, I can't really explain it. It's very odd. Like, something happens when I play Maiden songs where I kind of feel totally and utterly relaxed, and I'm probably not using as much energy as I do with other songs because I'm just in that zone. You know, it's bizarre.
Yeah, again, we go back to what we said at the start of the interview, and you know, Maiden just becomes so organic for you. It's so visceral for you. It's second nature. You know.
And this whole, like, I tell you, like, if I went for a run here, like outside for like 2 minutes, I'd be having a heart attack. I'm not that fit at all. But for some reason, play drums for hours and hours and hours and be fine. I don't really get it because you're kind of using all your limbs and it's pretty intense. But I suppose it's a different kind of exercise, I guess. But yeah, it's bizarre.
Joe, how do the drummers in the older age bracket, and you know, there's sort of lots of the guys in the sort of older legacy bands now. How do they maintain their fitness? And I'm talking about drummers now. How do the drummers maintain their fitness and B look after their hands and wrists for longevity?
Well, I mean, being on the road, you know, you've got to take care of yourself. It's, you know, you really do. You've got to drink plenty of water. You can't eat junk food all the time, and you've got to. I mean, I'm a culprit of that, to be fair. But I'm sure sooner. I mean, I remember Steve saying to me when we were on the British Lion tour. I think I don't know. I think I had like 2 McDonald's in one day or something, and he looked at me. He was like, yeah, he said one day that's gonna, you know, it ain't gonna happen like that anymore. And everything. And he said, he asked me how old I was. How old are you? I was like, you know, how old I was, 32. And he was like, well, I had, you know, 37 when I started doing everything. So you've got a while yet. But yeah, you do. I guess it all depends on the intensity of the drumming as well. Like, you know, like Charlie Watts, you know, great drummer, I love the stuff, but he kind of just sits. You know what I mean? It's not like what Nicko's doing. Nothing like it. You know? So he could probably go on for longer because he's not really.
That's right.
Not as taxing as say Nicko, but there's not many drummers of Nicko's age that are playing that kind of.
Yeah, look, I can only think of two. Nicko and probably Eric Singer.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Singer is a monster behind the drum kit, and he's I mean, he's a little bit younger than Nicko, but I think he's about 4 or 5 years younger than Nicko. But man, he is a monster drummer.
You know. I think, you know, if you've got good technique as well, you don't have to. Everyone thinks, well, not everyone thinks, but some people think it's all in your arms. So it's not. It's in your wrists. You know, if you've got good technique in your wrists, you haven't got to bring your snare arm all the way up here. You don't have to do that. You know, it's all in your wrist. So if you're not, you know, if you're playing right and you're comfortable, being comfortable in the kit is paramount because, you know, I haven't got particularly good posture, but it's got better. I used to sit so low down like Nicko, because obviously, you know, I wanted to be like him, so I used to sit so low down, have everything, all the drums tilted like this. But I remember someone saying to me, it was like, you've got to sit up a bit straighter and because you're going to just be like Quasimodo, you know, because the thing with Nicko, the way his kit is, it worked for him, but with my kit, I needed to kind of come up a bit and sit up a bit straighter because it back in so bad. So.
Yeah, very interesting.
Have you ever had a nightmare situation while playing live?
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so this was really embarrassing. So Maidens, when V6 were on the Maiden tour in 2013, we were playing in Malmo football stadium in Sweden, and we have like the Great Escape theme tune as our intro tape.
Yeah.
And tape's going. This is like the, I don't know, 20th show in, so we're kind of like it's like a well-oiled machine now. We all know what we're doing, which member goes on, when and stuff. So I go out first, and the tech runs out behind me and kicks out all the power to all the entire stage. So
yeah, brilliant.
Going on here, I get up on the kit, and I'm waiting for Tony to come on and play Falling Knives, like the bass lines, start the show, because he starts the show. And it goes da 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 ba, and I'm like, no one's on stage with me, no one. I look over there, no one's even got their own guitar. The tech is next to me behind the screen, trying to get everything back on, but no one can see it. All people can see me, so I've got this like football stadium of people just like looking at me going. And it was like I don't know if you've seen like Wayne's World, where Garth's like being filmed, and he's like, I'm okay, like, and he's just like. No, like, I was like, what do? Do I go off? Do I just sit? Do I do a drum solo? I was like, which I would definitely do a drum solo. But, and it felt, I mean, it could have been only maybe 2 minutes, but that 2 minutes felt like 2 years.
Yeah, well, it will do.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, this is awful.
Have you had anything break while you're playing?
Yes, actually. Luckily, I've been very lucky with things like that. Anything that's ever broken, like I put a stick through my snare drum and the last beat of the last song in a set.
Oh, wow.
If it's going to happen, you want it to happen there, because it's like... Yeah. But it was a download, actually, with V6 again. I did like at the end of like a crash ending, like, bah, boom, but I went like that. And then my stick got caught in the snare because it was just like stuck in it. And I just hit simple with one arm. Left hand, so yeah, that was annoying. But like I said, that happened in a place where it didn't really matter. But yeah, like I said, I haven't had any catastrophes. Touch wood. I've jinxed it now, haven't I? But yeah.
Let's hope not. I mean, basically, I'll explain my situation. And then you'll probably sit back and relax a bit. I was with Maiden on the Killers tour.
Yeah.
And we were at Norwich University. Now, imagine the band are on stage, all the fans are in the hall, but all the band's cases are all down the side of the hall. Clive puts his foot through the bass drum.
Oh.
Now, I've got to jump off stage, go and find the case, get the spare skin, get back on stage and change it while he was still playing.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh, no.
It was an absolute nightmare. And imagine what happened. So I undo all the keys, pull the rim off, get the old skin off, get the new skin back on, put the little pad in the centre, screw it all back together while he's still playing. And but he sort of turned around and he was using the floor tom as his bass drum.
Yeah.
But when he goes into like doing a solo, I don't know if you've ever noticed on videos, but his left knee comes right up in the air, almost as high as his shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to avoid that. Kaz is sitting there laughing. It's like, it was an absolute nightmare. And again, you said, it probably took me sort of 3 or 4 minutes to sort of get it, do it. It felt like a lifetime. It was just horrendous.
Yeah.
So now, having heard that, I don't think you'll ever have a problem. No. Oh yeah, do you keep spares with you? Do you keep both?
Yeah, I always take spares with me everywhere, like just in case. I'm a stickler for that. I'm like, as long as I've got 2 of everything, it's fine. But like you say about the kick drum though, you can get away with because I always have a spare snare with me. So if I go through the snare, just put the other spare.
Yes, that's easy.
Go through
spare stall.
Get through a gig with or a song or whatever with toms or cymbals, but with the kick drum, when the kick drum goes, that's it. I mean, they take, like you said, time to can't really do much about it.
It still haunts me now.
Yeah. I've had nightmares about that kind of thing happening. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, how often have you actually changed the skins?
Depends really on the type of skin. Like if you're getting single ply or double ply, or coated or clear, they all have different durabilities. But usually on a tour, I change snare maybe every 5 shows, maybe 5, 6 shows, and rattled toms can kind of stay on for a bit longer. Kick drum, I very rarely change kick drum on a tour. Kick drum skin just stays fine. They take bedding in and then.
It also depends on the tightness.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Unlike Nicko, I like to crank my snare drum, so I do get dents in it quite quickly. But yeah, like I said, it also depends on who I'm playing for. If it's like an indie pop act I'm sessioning for, I'm not going to be like, going crazy.
Right, so you
Yeah.
Did you know that the root cymbal was actually developed for drummers like Clive Burr?
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. We actually went to the pastry factory with him and came back with these little gongs. Brilliant.
Oh, right.
But the cymbal was actually developed for drummers like Clive Burr, and he was given a set to test.
Right.
And he went round the kit, and he went bang, 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 like with the cymbals, and took a chunk like that. And that was the first time he hit it.
Right.
Yeah, it just went. So they took them back in and redid them. So the new cymbals you get now are so much stronger. But
they hardly move. They're that thick when you hit them. They're crazy.
Yeah, but it was given to Clive to test. He tested it and go, no, that one these going back.
Yeah.
Was this in Japan, Loopy? Was this in Japan?
No, this was on the Kiss tour.
Oh, in 1980. Oh, in Europe.
Yeah. In fact, he received the cymbals shortly before we did the Kiss tour. Because we actually went out to the pastry factory. Where is it? Zurich.
Yeah.
In Zurich, Basel or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember getting we got dropped off at the local station and we had to get a train back to Stuttgart or somewhere. And when we got back there, there was armed police outside the hotel. I was like, what the bloody hell? Got to check in. Dave Murray was so drunk, he was trying to throw a wardrobe down the stairs.
I would have expected Ace Frehley to be doing something like that rather than Dave.
Yeah, that was funny. I mean, then Clive sort of walked in and it was like, what the heck is going on? It's quite funny.
Oh, brilliant.
That and other stories are available in my book.
Yes, Loopy World.
See what I did there.
Loopy World, the Iron Maiden is. Get it.
All right, so Joe, last question. What does the future hold?
Wow, I mean, who knows? Who knows what the future holds? I mean, I'm just very grateful and lucky to be playing drums for a living. Just if I can keep doing that, then I'll be happy. And I'm doing some more. I'm recording an album for Mike Venot from Biffy Clyro in a couple of weeks, doing his new album with him. And I've got another album to record the week after that for another singer-songwriter. So I've got work coming in, which is good. Just hoping that gigs can start happening again because that's my breath. Really, the touring. I love recording. I'm very grateful for the work, but I love being out on the road and playing. I really miss playing gigs, as I'm sure you guys miss going to gigs.
Oh, hugely. Yeah, I'm actually interesting you brought that up. I mean, it's one thing I'm missing the most is going and seeing live music. You really realise how much you miss it, and how important it is when it's sort of taken away. So hopefully this.
Well, say now, in the last gigs that me and Kaz actually saw was in New York. We met up in New York going to see Maiden at the Parkman Centre.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the last show I saw was Maiden at Quebec City in Canada. About a week and a bit after that. But yeah, it's and that was what I mean, we were in New York, this time?
This time last year.
Exactly. Yeah, actually, July 19, 12 months ago.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
So, yeah, let's hope...
All this happened,
and who would... I mean,
more.
you would not have known in our wildest dreams at 12 months on we'd be having this sort of conversation. And
I know,
and
it's crazy.
you know, yearning for shows to come back. I really hope it does. I really hope you know, the world gets back to some semblance of normality soon, because I think we're all going to go mad without live music, to be honest.
We just have to listen to Maiden England again.
What's that? Sorry.
We just have to listen to Maiden England again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Several times, yes. Yeah, well, great.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe, this has been a terrific chat, mate. Again, thank you so much for giving up your time Sunday afternoon. Really appreciate it. It's been...
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been great fun.
Yeah, mate. No, it's been insightful. It's been a terrific chat. And we hope you come on again, mate. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks again.
Cheers, matey. Thanks much.
And that was I really enjoyed that chat with Joe. I like having musicians on the show who tend to add...
It's also nice to have personal views. It's nice to be able to sort of sit down and talk to Joe about something I actually know something about. Yeah, well, no, I mean, first of all, he's a very pleasant, very lovely guy to talk to, and it was a very seamless interview. But I find having guys like... I like having guys like Joe. I find having guys like Joe on adds a very different perspective on you know, the Iron Maiden discussion, because usually when we do the show, we're talking from the perspective of fans, and you know, we really tend to geek out on the minutiae of, you know, the geeky stuff that fans talk about. Whereas, yeah, and Joe is a fan as well, of course. But as I said, he brought very much a technical, musical flavour to the interview, which I loved. It's nice to talk about drummers. I mean, how many other podcasts will talk about one particular musician, or two in this case, like Clive and Nick. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I thought it went really well. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, me too. So, anything you want to add before we bid our listeners farewell? For I mean, if anybody's interested in hearing more about that story, about my panic situation repairing Clive's bass drum, it was like the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and probably the worst that's ever happened to anybody. But that story is actually quite expanded in the book. So anybody who wants to read Loopy World, the Iron Maiden years, it's available on eBay only at the moment. My website is still down, but I'll be in touch. So we'll let everybody know like when the website's back up. I just want to know how he put his foot through the bass drum. How does that happen? Well, a lot of it is about the pressure of the skin itself. If the skin is really tight, then it can only take so much. Where if the skin is slightly, if you lessen the pressure by sort of unscrewing the nuts at the side, as you hit the skin bends. Whereas if it's fully tight, like Clive had it, you hit it, it's not going anywhere. It's just taking that pressure all the time in the centre, and that's exactly where it's split, right down the middle. So it was basically Newton's second law of physics: for every force there's an equal and opposite force, and that tight skin just sort of failed, didn't it? This was about halfway through the tour, and the skin itself, I think it had only been changed once. Wow. So normally you could do a whole tour with not changing it at all. So that was Norwich University, wasn't it? Yeah. On the Metal for Mothers tour? No, it was Killers. Oh, sorry, the Killers tour. Yeah. Great. Yeah, Killers tour. All right, everybody, take care, look after yourselves, and we shall see you on the next one, as we always say. Bye-bye. Bye. See ya.